éveiller le désir au rythme de ton cœur et réserver les cris et la violence pour d'autres sujets que je ne veux plus voir, comprendre, raisonner et dire, exprimer, tout simplement vivre à la première personne cette conjugaison singulière que tu es. Sur le mont de Montmartre, il y a mon sein. Sur le mont de mon sein, il y a ta langue. Monte, monte les marches jusqu'à mon cœur et pris à la vue de nos horizons futurs.
My name is Geo Wyeth, and I'm from New York City, but I live in Rotterdam at the moment. And I'm feeling very good to be in Brussels because of COVID. I've been in my city. I've been in Rotterdam for too long, so I started to feel a little bit pent up. So I'm feeling very happy to be here in this room with this beautiful view, with the tops of all the buildings and the sky and the sun, and I'm very happy to be collaborating and connecting with Vava, someone who I admire and someone who I hold in a very high regard. So that's very exciting for me. And as well, Alberto is a really good friend of mine, and Marnie, both of you have been so supportive and helpful and kind to me in my time in Europe, and I'm forever grateful for that. So I'm very happy.
Oui, I'm happy also. My name is Vava, so I'm here for the BOZAR rendezvous, for the book we are doing together with Alberto. And I'm very happy to talk with you now about all this.
I am Alberto, and for the past 3 years, Vava and I have been like in an on and off conversation about editing a book of her poems. And it's been beautiful. I remember several times we were in Chatte in Paris, which is a great cafe where we spent long hours thinking about this. And right now, I'm very moved to be here to see us all together, Geo and Vava, after all the work that's been done separately by each one, and a lot of conversations and sharing that I've been having with both of them. And as Geo, I have also not traveled for a while. I was in Athens for the past 4 months, which is a city I just moved in. So I am happy that the intensity of my experience of what for me is editing this book is a compass with a certain intensity of my life. This was set up to be an anthology of Vava's poems, but it is also a book of love poems. So I'm just very happy to see all of this happening at the same time.
And my name's Marnie. I am a kind of guest in this process for today. I've been following a little bit the process of the making of this book that we're going to talk about today, because I'm a close friend and former housemate and collaborator with Alberto, and I've seen a little bit the kind of process as it's unfolded and talked about it a lot. So it's a real privilege to be here today. I think the first thing I'm really curious to hear about is that I know that you all have been in Brussels now for 2 days, working quite intensely at BOZAR, and I've seen little images popping out here and there on social media with what you've been doing, but I really would like to hear, like, what's going on. What have you been doing? How's it been feeling?
We came yesterday to because it was a surprise. Finally, we had to do a performance, me and Geo, inside the museum, but because of the reality now with the troubles now, we had to do it in a theater empty without any public, so it's really strange. It's a bit like to be in the house of ghosts. It's like the feeling to have a big, beautiful royal theater for us to play and sing and do what we want. So it's quite magic, but also strange. It could be also sad. We could be melancholic. But finally, we decided to do something with the situation because we are still alive. And I think the book also speaks about this, about love, but also the things that you can do what you want if you want to do it. It could be the end of the world, the end of everything in your head or in the world now. But we're still there, so we're going to do it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
With you.
Yeah, it's been a really educational experience, I think. For me, I feel really...
yeah, because it was the first time we meet each other also yesterday.
Yeah, in a way. We met once before, but it was really brief.
I mean, to do something together, like live, like this.
Totally, totally, yeah. And
this was the first bonjour.
Yeah. Yeah, because
to sing or
totally
perform together. So
and I think also because each of us has our own, things that we do, and trying to share and try to figure out how to communicate, how to. Give each other the opportunity to be present for the other, and that's been a really educational experience, I think, for me. Really, it's a challenge. It's like challenging to, I think, find, especially within that context. There's a lot of pieces involved that make the experience really like. Every moment for me has been like a wow, like, okay, we're gonna do now, like a kind of series of realizations, but in a really energizing way. I'm playing a 9-foot grand piano, which is like unbelievable. I've never touched a piano like that in my life, and that is like.
It's beautiful.
It's like next level, I mean, I don't really even know what to say or like even how to process that. And there's all these team of the people, these like tech men who are kind of helping us to figure out all kinds of things. And that's been really interesting too, to communicate with them and think about lighting and how we're going to use the space. I think that for me was something that was quite obvious when I entered the space. I thought, I don't think we can just be here on stage performing to an empty audience without thinking about that, Like, how do we exist being who we are, or I mean, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, like, who am I in this kind of empty royal theater? What does that mean? How does my body occupy this space? How can I do what I like to do in this space in a way that is generous, but also is, asking questions of the space and interacting of how with these ghosts, with this sort of energy in the space, which is strange energy, So it's been really, just like a amazing learning experience, really expansive and very positive, for me. Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess I can also say, well, like them too. I've also been here for the past 2 days, where we've been we've been permanently in this big theater they're both referring to, which is like the biggest concert hall of this Palace of Fine Arts of Brussels, which is a palace. The concert hall has 2 seats that are reserved for the Queen and the King of Belgium permanently. So that gives an idea of where we are. And when hearing Geo speaking about a learning process, something that I've been trying to do with my editorial writing work for some years is to interact with the modes of production of visual arts to be able to create situations for editing or edition, which for me are conversational situations and learning situations. And I've learned a lot through the process of this book. I've learned one way of editing a book. I've learned one way of translating. I had never been involved in any professional is not the word, but in any like traditional translation process. But I've been involved in some non-traditional ones, and the one we've used here, this is now the way I know how to translate, and I'm very happy to have these learnings. And what I'm learning now when seeing you two together with me rehearsing and creating a theater play in a couple of days, I'm very happy that this is now my knowledge of how to do those things, that I didn't have to get another specialized knowledge in order to access editing a book of poetry or translating.
Okay, maybe I can read something.
Please.
Bon. À l'ouest de vous, je vous recherche. Je me berce d'erreurs, je faute d'orthographe. Corrigez-moi si la conjugaison de mon désir n'est pas sur votre chemin. Mes amours chimériques sans flamme se dispersent. Je vous recherche sans fin. J'ai faim de vous. Je me régalerai de vos surprises. Quand de vous je serai enfin éprise. Mais qui êtes-vous?
Merci.
Thank you.
Maybe, Vava, I don't know if you can speak a little bit about like the selection of poems and drawings that are in the book. Are they new poems? Are they, maybe talk a little bit about...
As Alberto said, we talk about the idea to do a book since three years.
Yeah.
And but I used to have some words, some stuff I used to write before, and since a long time. And we met each other with, especially for that, I think last February or January in Brussels. And it was like at that moment, it looks like it's. It was nice to write new stuff and use the things I used to say before. I have to say also that there is some words are like lyrics of the band I have with my friend Nicolu and Stéphane Argilet from La Chatte. This is the band we have since 2003. So, bon, voilà. It's a long time
with
now.
the same
Same musician, yeah. So, but I used to write things on also on clothes, on T-shirts. I like to write stuff, also especially in French, because I think it's interesting because the people. Also with the music, everybody listen music, pop music with English words, and I think, for example, in France, it's always strange to hear something like a bit pop or a bit I don't know how to say that, modern, how you can say that. In French, the people think that because you are doing something now, you should do it in English, in a way, you see. So it's a surprise for the people, I have to say. When we start to do the band, it was like, you always do French song. Bon, I like it. I like the idea to do it in French, and I like the idea that Geo translate it in English, because it's the first time I see my word like this in English, and it's really interesting and beautiful that we can express it now in that way. It's not just somebody who came to translate and that's it. That we are in the theater together tomorrow to express the way you see my words and who you are and who I am. Also with the book, like it was a rendezvous with the book, but finally it's a rendezvous together to meet each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Enfin, voilà.
Yeah.
My English is not, it's a really Frenchy, but
It's
I
perfect.
try to, voilà, explain what I feel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I felt that too. When Alberto asked me to participate and include me in the process of translation, I had some questions actually about it, because I wondered, number one, why? So like, why translate something into English? I mean, I know why, for kind of like, let's say, because English.
Well,
let's
why
say, is more,
you maybe also?
also definitely why me. Definitely why me. That was I think those are my why because also Alberto speaks French, you know. So I thought, well, why don't you do it? I don't understand. Like, I mean, like I of course would love to be included in some way in connection with Vava, but I don't. I speak French, but kind of. I remember you wrote to me. You said, "How's your French?" And I was like, "Oh, it's okay, you know." Yeah, ça va. I mean, it's all right, you know. But I think. Then you said, "Oh, can you translate some poetry?" And I was like, "No." But I think that when I saw the poems, actually, is when I felt what I would do. I mean, I can tell you kind of what I did. I read them out loud in French, and then I tried to translate them myself without looking at Google or anything like this, you know? So I tried to kind of go through and figure out what they meant. And I wrote that down. And then I went to Google and I sort of checked against that. I looked at a bunch of different, actually, you know, versions of words and this kind of stuff. And then I also talked with Alberto a lot because he kind of helped me give me some context. So I feel like, honestly, it's a collaborative process that we went through, definitely together. And then I think that it was once I started to get the English down, I really related so much to the sentiment in the work, like a lot of the feelings in the work and the what it was describing. I feel like the poems are really situated in a very particular, like I said yesterday, they're really like they're directed to people. They have a real subjective kind of conversational tone that I really liked. And there's also these wordplay, like remerciant and you know, and orthographe, and these words that you have kind of invented and that on some level or that have used. And that was that's also something that I do, you know, not in French, obviously, but I love playing with words and language, and you know, I write all the time, you know, playing word games and acronyms, and you know, this is something that really grounds me, and so I really related to that, and this kind of, and so then I felt really committed and excited by the project, but of course. Then also I thought about format. So that was a big thing that I brought up, where originally it was going to be your handwriting, and then we were going to have typeface. And I asked about that because I felt that maybe it was because I felt like a personal connection to the poems, but I felt that myself, when I write with my hand. I don't write poetry usually on a thing on a computer.
A computer.
Sorry, you can tell how, whatever those things are called.
No, but this is something, yeah. This is
and-
something, yeah. Because,
And then I thought, and then when he told me, he's like, okay, Vava got this notebook. She wrote things out. And then I was like, okay, well then I think I should do a similar gesture. So I did it all in one go. I was like, ba 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 ba.
Yeah.
I did it in like, after I kind of had the translation down. So I knew what it was, and then I just wrote it out, and that made, I think, more sense to me. It was a kind of direct relationship to the writing, the act of writing as a sort of how do I say this? Like, it's a stronger gesture or something to do it all at once.
Yeah.
And then with the typeface, I don't know, with the font, it's something about it just felt like wrong to me. I don't know why. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. There's like the binary that gets created where you have like, handwriting versus like formal, the printing press. There's just stuff that I felt like also wasn't really me or something. And not that it's about me, it's about you really, but I felt that I couldn't be myself,
Yeah, but I was talking about that situation of computer and, as you said, writing with the hand by hand. Because I think when you the connections with the paper, the ink, the pen, it's different. So you are more in something more maybe primaire, primary things that you for me. I don't know. Maybe you, Alberto, you feel very well with your computer when you are.
Look at his computer.
Yeah, you are always with your computer, and I know you feel very well with your computer. Your computer
gold.
is your Dudu. Yes, it's your Dudu. And me, my pen and the paper is more my Dudu. No, c'est vrai. It's something. It's true. It's something. It depends of the people, but it's funny.
Yeah, for me, well, this process has gone, as I said, for me it was a great learning process of this project has gone through different stages and it's changed along the process. So we set up to do an anthology of the poetry of Vava, which is funny because it sounds very grand and very starish, like to do this kind of thing. So we started from there because something that's always fascinated me in the use of poetry of Vava, it's the publication systems that you have developed. You publish since you were working with Fabrice in your clothes brand in the 2000s. You've developed systems of publishing which are stitching on clothes, which are writing the same poem on various T-shirts, creating a certain economy. Those are sold in exhibitions, in clubs, and I was really excited about that multiplicity of publication, and I think my first approach was like, okay, let's inventorize it. Let's say where each poem has been published. That felt like a very exciting editorial endeavor. We had a lot of conversations, and then the time we had the residency at BOZAR, you decided to, instead of bringing all the materials and inventorizing them, you were gonna create this selection of poems and write them in a notebook, which is it's another way of doing an anthology, of collecting something, of putting things together. And that, like, I've been very happy to learn throughout the process all of those other modes that I was not aware of. And I think that's the reason that I didn't want to translate the poems, because I didn't want to, like, when proposing this anthology, I was aware already of the limitations of my proposal, and I was very open to those limits to be to go over those limits. And also I didn't want to have the limitation of me translating, but bringing other people to the situations we're creating. So you translating also allows us to be us together, to be doing this performance together, which is something that wouldn't have happened if I had approached someone who just translates and
A real translator.
No, someone who just translates and doesn't perform.
Just say it.
Someone who translates and doesn't perform.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I think you're a full on. You're a full on real translator. The book is real. Well,
soon.
the book is real. It's going to be real. It's right now printed in front of us on A4 papers because the book is being finished. So I don't see anything non-real of the translation.
No. Of course, I say, of course. I just mean like you could have paid, yes, a professional person who has their job is to translate French into English, you know? So people are, so I felt very honored, but also very kind of like, oh, I mean, I hope I can do a good job, you know?
No, the great things that also is depend. I think when you are doing the translation, it depends about the personality you have, and also the way that you are singing, you are doing music, you have that possibility to be in that fragile things where I am. You see, because there is some word. You can translate it in many ways, so it depends about the sensibility you have. So the things that you have in, I think Alberto feel that it could be interesting to meet each other in the world I have, and my word could be your word. Mes mots peuvent être tes mots.
Ouais. Yeah. No, well, I've definitely found a connection to it, definitely, and I think I don't know. I can read some too if you want, or do you want?
Can I ask you a quick question?
Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, it's all right. No, it's a question to you, Geo. I just was curious because you made some decisions like with capitalization and line breaks and stuff that are different from the so-called original poem. Like, for example, in the one I'm looking in front of me, these words are capitalized. Yeah. And I'm just curious about that decision making, if it was something more fast.
It was fast. That's how I write. So I often write with mixed. I mean, yeah. Especially if I'm writing with a marker. Mm-hmm. If I'm writing with a pen, I tend to write more proper, I guess. Although I do not write cursive very well in this beautiful cursive that Vava has. But I did learn. I think I was probably like the last generation in the United States to learn how to write in cursive. So I do know how to do that. And Alberto mentioned that often on Vava, on your clothes, you draw this line on the left, which is supposed to be the kind of margin line, you know, on paper. And that I related to that too, because I also, as a very young child, I also had these, you know, special papers for learning how to write.
Yes, the notebook of children at school. Because the things I like in that thing is la marge. How do you say la marge in English?
The margin, yeah.
And in French, la marge mean also be in how do you say marge?
Yes, I think you mean that. I think in English also margin relates to
be out of the
being
society.
outside of
Out of the society, to be free, to be not normal. You see.
Niet normaal.
And what is it to be normal? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Me neither.
Voilà. So I like that things to play with that things could be wrong to be not normal, and nothing is wrong finally. We can do what we want. I'm always in that things to think that we can be what we want, and we can go where we want, and we can try new things, and we can try to be new and to be in the revolution of ourselves.
Yes.
This is really my thing all my life now. And this is something really important for me. that thinks about. It's not something to be all the time thinking about not be normal, but to think that we can be in and out of la marge.
In and out of the margins. Yeah, yeah.
So voilà, there is I like to go where I want to go, and to be the idea to be free to be who we want to be. Enfin, j'espère que you understand me. I'm sure. And this is that things about the liberty to be or to think about what we want to do with ourselves and what we want to be, where we want to be. Voilà, and something about freedom.
Yeah. I think also with the margin is a line, you know,
Yeah.
and it sets up the line to be broken. So there's and I think that in the case of this process, the notebook that I used was very small. Not that that's a margin, but that it does create a kind of set of conditions that I'm bumping up against. In fact, sometimes, and I still do this, you know, and as a child, I did this all the time, where I loved to do bubble letters. You know, I loved to make fonts and bubble letters, and I would start on one end of the page, and then by the time I get to the other side, I don't have enough space to keep the word, you know, and then I end up going down and bringing it up.
And with a computer, you can do that. With your Dudu, Alberto.
and this, so like mistakes. This is actually real, you know. The end of this S, I was like, oh no. So there was and I was like, but I kind of set up myself to, you know, look at the translation, and what I did when I translated it, I did type it up so that I could see it clearly. But then when I copied it, I sort of just freestyled, you know, where things went, to be honest. Because I also think so much of line breaks is about meter, you know, about measure, about how rhythm and meter, and it's a really different language, you know, and the way that
a pause in French might be different from a pause in
yeah, well, not just a pause, but like when you scan the page, you know, like, because poetry, right, it's both spoken as in like lyrics of song, but it's also looking, it's like a visual experience. So how do you feel the rhythm of those words? That has everything to do with, you know, where the line breaks are and where the so there's a kind of, but I think specific to English, I felt like I couldn't keep the same breaks, is what I was trying to say. I felt that they were somehow had to shift to reflect more a general essence of the meaning behind the poem, rather than just word for word copying, you know, because translation is also about that, I think, and that's what I can offer, I think, because I do also write, you know, poems and songs and sing, and I really relate to these words, and I felt like I can translate something from this, even if it's not exactly the right French or something. I think it with
no, this is the idea of something.
There is one thing, because about what you're saying, what you bring or what you could bring, there is something I have been interested in for quite a while, is the idea of oral publishing, of the idea of how the act of speaking things is a way of publishing them. So as I said, for me, what I was really interested in Vava's practice of publishing was also the repetition, how things were printed in 100 t-shirts, and then they appeared on a song, and then they appeared somewhere else, and then they appeared on a magazine, and like different substances. And I thought that was a very important element. There's something I like also, and some of the poems are some of the poems are very short, and they're easy to remember. There's a poem that says orthographe, which is a combination of two words in French, which is translated to heavy words. And I think they have the capacity of be memorized quite easily if they're repeated enough to an audience. And they can be used by people. They can be used by readers in their conversations. Something as in when you have a conversation and you use a quote from a movie to speak about something specific. And I thought that it was also important to be able to give this translation an oral element, that they could also be published orally. And it's something you've been working on the past 2 days, as in how to deliver those poems.
Yeah, sorry. Can I say something? Sure. I know I'm talking a lot, but I feel like, that's challenging, I think, to finding ways of delivering. I was going to say the poems in English, because they have such a particular resonance, I think, to my ear in French.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, what was I going to say? When you were saying about the way that the poems live on different surfaces or in different media, I also really related to that. That's something that I also have a lot, and that's because of usually, I think, I would never frame it in terms of publishing. That's very interesting that you think in that way, but it's because of your that's because of your doo-doo. I think it's for me it's kind of like getting hooked on something. Like I get hooked on a particular set of words or on a phrase, and then it ends up being a focus, and I end up writing it down in a lot of places. I don't know what else, and then it just, and it's a way, I think, of looking for maybe looking for a way to be, or looking for some kind of language or something. And I think that feels like it can express an experience that I'm having, and I felt that also with these, and I felt that the way that they're coming from you, from someone who has lived longer than me. I know that sounds, but I felt you as like had more experience or something in this process of looking for language.
The language. Yes, because I used to do, as you said, I used to do clothes, but in the clothes I start to say stuff, to say things to the things I have in my mind. Most of the time it's talking about life, about love, about melancholy, sadness, all the things we can have in life. It's true that that year is special for me because I'm gonna have 50 years. So in August. So, but it's true that it's going somewhere because during the last 20 years I write stuff on clothes, I did some songs, now I'm doing a book with you. Tomorrow I think I'm gonna do a movie, I have an idea with somebody, bon, voilà. And it's always write something about life finally. After the thing with clothes interesting that it's like a T-shirt, for example. It's like a page for me, a T-shirt, a white T-shirt, because it's you can write what you want, and the people see you in the street, and you don't have to open your mouth. Now you have a message. The T-shirt give a message also. So and for me, clothes is also a message to say things. When people think they wear something and they don't think about, but it's something. It's always something. You are not naked in the street. Enfin, voilà. I don't know what to say.
I can read something. Okay. To the west of you all, I study you, rocking with mistakes. I blame the heavy words. Correct me if the conjugation of my desire is not on your path. Fantasy lovers, igniting, dispersing, I study you forever. I'm hungry for you. I enjoy your gifts. When will I finally be full of you? And who are you? Read another one. What do you want to do? Okay. Oh, I love this one.
Yeah, I'll let you.
Okay.
Do you want to try and read the same poem in the two languages?
We just did
Ah,
that.
that's okay.
That's why I read that one.
Right, okay. I don't know if you were going to continue.
At the same moment.
No,
we could
You can try,
we
you
could
know.
try, yeah,
Let's
why
do
don't
it.
you- okay,
This one.
which one?
Celui-là.
It's beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
ready? 1, 2, 3.
C'est
It's
joli de
beautiful to
conjuguer
combine
le
desire
désir au
with the
rythme de
rhythm
ton
of your
cœur
heart,
et
and keep
réserver
the
les cris
crying
et la
and
violence
violence
pour
for
d'autres
other
sujets
things
que je
I
ne
don't
veux
want
plus
to
voir.
see anymore.
Comprendre,
Understand the
raisonner
reason
et
and to
dire,
say and to
exprimer,
express,
tout
to just
simplement
live in the
vivre.
first person, the
À la première
singular
personne, cette conjugaison
combination
singulière que
that
tu
you are.
es.
Those two languages, French
Là,
and English.
c'est joli. It's like a kiss.
It's like a kiss.
Okay,
We should
bon,
do
that was
we should
good.
go. It was good.
You want to do it again?
Yeah,
Okay, let's do this.
it's funny.
I like this one.
Ah oui, les papiers.
Okay, ready? The
Les papiers
papers fly
volent
in
au
the
vent.
wind. A life
Confetti,
of
amour,
love confetti.
existence.
Trance,
Trance,
dance,
danse,
till
jusqu'à
love
l'amour.
gets here.
Ce
This
moment,
dead
je le
word,
déteste.
I hate it.
Le
The cave
gouffre
of my
m'indiffère.
indifference.
Je
I look out
recherche
of it
et vais vers le
towards the
soleil.
sun.
Mes
My
yeux
eyes
sont
are
des
like
oiseaux.
birds.
Dans ma bouche, le soleil brille, mon cœur.
Oh wait, where's the end? In my mouth, the bright sun, my heart.
One thing that the book includes is it includes blurbs, 2 blurbs, which is something that we decided with the publishers as this kind of pulp way of having a review to avoid like a critical text, like inviting people to write poetic critical text on the writing. So we invited 2 people to write them. One of them is Elizabeth Lebovici, who did write one, and the other one is Natasha Soramanian, who is a writer living in Brussels, who wrote this. I don't know if I should perhaps read her blurb in order to kind of introduce her. Her blurb says, blue, blue, electric blue, Geo plus Vava, sound plus vision, Geo's translations of Vava's poems, her wandering lines is a double fantasy, an overdrawing like Vava's drawing drawn over. Vava's outlines outside the lines, turning my eyes into question marks. What if our fingertips ran after the rain? What if the trains all got turned out? Like drinking down the poisoning one. We are one another's heritage and patrimoine. Thank you, Vava. Thank you, Geo. And thank you too, Alberto, for the assembly. So we asked her, Natasha, to send us a question because she cannot be here today. And she sent us this question. Do you want to read it, Marnie?
Yes. She asks Vava and Geo, and then also me, if I would like, to respond to the question, do you remember learning how to read? Can you talk about this experience?
I don't remember when I start to read. I remember my sister. I remember when my sister starts. And it's really lovely to see how it is she was to with the finger on the paper or on the book, and with the finger going to the rhythm of each word. I remember just that. But for me, no, I don't remember really. And you, Geo?
I remember. I remember being read to. I remember my mother reading to me. That's what I remember. But I don't remember when that changed from her reading to me reading. Because I think I would read along with her, and she would read like everything to me often, like lots of things, like the cereal box, you know, signs, books too, but a lot of random texts, because I was very interested in words, and my mom is a writer, so there was a lot of words, you know, and so she would do this, you know, but I don't remember when that switch, you know, when you learn how to, when you start to, but I do remember I was quite young, I think, maybe I was 5 or something, but I don't remember the moment or.
But I remember I was dyslexic after when I was 8 years or 7 years. I was dyslexic. Still a bit. But, it's okay. But I had to go in a special school because I couldn't say Q and G, like Geo, for example, like G. I have troubles. They say that I have troubles to understand G and K, you know. So I had to go a special place. But finally, it was okay. I remember that now. Yeah.
I also, like you, I don't remember when I learned to read, but I do have a memory of that must have been informed by learning to read, because, and it's connected to the experience of being read to also. So at one point, me and my sister from another mother, Kirsty, we realized that our parents had been doing 2 things when they read books to us. One was changing all the gender of all the characters. So Peter was female and Jane was male, for example. So Peter would stay home and help Mum in the kitchen, and Jane would go out and play in the trees. So we realized at a certain point that we're doing that, and that realization must have come when we learned to read ourselves. And the other thing we realized that they were doing was that they had particular books that they did not like for political reasons or just because they were boring. And the parents, when they would read to us, they would skip like huge sections of the books. And we really only realized when we began to learn to read. We're like, no. If you do it smooth, they will never notice.
I feel like my mother did that, but with like anything that referenced sex, to be honest. Like anything that was like mildly, she was like, nope, doesn't exist. We're not going to read that. And then I was like, what's that part that you skipped, Mom? She's like, that's why I am the way that I am.
I don't remember when I learned how to read. I vaguely remember, I remember a little bit of how I learned English. I think I learned to love English with Ana Maria, which was a US American, former Catholic nun, who was now dedicated to teaching English to kids in Guadalajara, which is a small town in Spain. And I remember a couple of things. I remember the Christmas tree. She was very concerned about her Christmas tree because there was a very big Christmas tree in her living room all year long. And we should really not touch it. And then she was very hardcore when we would touch it. And also I remember her white horse. So she had a white car. And she would often tell us, you can ride my white horse. Which I don't know, but in English might feel really like, might be something different.
It's a song, too.
Yeah. There's this song.
A nun?
I remember that very well. And then she would bring us home with her on her white horse. I know the song.
What's the song? That's a song.
I think does it reference to any kind of drugs?
I mean, it could reference a lot of things.
Okay.
Ah bah ouais, ça va
I don't know what kind of white horse you wanted me to ride.
Ouais, ride horse.
Okay. Well, I remember that from Ana Maria.
C'est spécial. C'est spécial. I can read the last thing.
Yes,
That's good, yeah.
Voilà. Yeah. Caresse. J'ai envie de rigoler. Orthographe. La vie est un poison versé à petites gouttes, elle donne l'extase puis la mort. Vous n'avez pas répondu à mon regard. Si tu m'aimes, fais-moi l'amour. Si tu ne m'aimes pas, fous-moi la paix. Tu cours après des trains dans lesquels je ne suis pas. I invite you all to the revolution of your being. Je vous invite à la révolution de votre être.
Life is a poison poured out in small drops. She gives you ecstasy, then you die. You didn't answer to my look. Touch. Along the thread of my heart, dawn dares to flow. Dares, always dare. I want to laugh. Much obliged. Heavy words. On the mountain of Montmartre, there is my breast. On the mountain of my breast, there is your tongue. Climb the steps to my heart, full of pleasure at the sight of Paris, of our future horizons.
Sur le mont de Montmartre, il y a mon sein. Sur le mont de mon sein, il y a ta langue. Monte les marches jusqu'à mon cœur épris, rempli de plaisir à la vue du Paris de nos horizons futurs.
If you like me, make love to me. If you don't like me, leave me alone. You run after the trains in which I am not. Je vous invite à la révolution de votre être.
La valeur de la personne.
The value of a person.
Je n'ai pas de patrimoine, mon patrimoine c'est moi.
I am not my heritage is me.
Je t'invite à la révolution de ton être.
I invite you to the revolution of your being.
En vous remerciant.
Remercions. Ouais. Merci.